George, where do you think that we are going to be at by the end of the year on Bitcoin in particular?
I think for sure we will be above 100. And after that, it's anyone's guess. And the reason being, I think after 100,000, we're going to see some true FOMO. So one of the things that gauge true FOMO is you could just go to Google search trends and search Bitcoin or buy Bitcoin, and you'll see that we're like at ground level. We're nowhere close to the peak of 2017 or even a peak in back in April. So FOMO has not hit yet. But after 100,000, I think it'll be the same way like in 2017. You go hear everyone talk about it. Every single broadcast, CNBC and Yahoo Finance and Bloomberg, everyone is going to be talking about it. And I think we're going to see some true FOMO. And not just with retail, but also with the institutions that are already in, the ones that have been sitting on the sidelines. They're going to be jealous and they're going to want to get in. And that's why I think some people have, predicted that Bitcoin could be above 200,000, 200, 250. I think with true FOMO, that could happen. So, but I do think for sure 100,000. After that, who knows?
Yeah, because back in 2017, I remember I got into crypto when Bitcoin was trading at $2,900. It was July 31st, 2017. I got into crypto, and everyone was talking about $5,000. Like, oh, Bitcoin's going to go to $5,000, and that was the big deal. And now if Bitcoin goes to $5,000, it's kind of like one of those that goes on, a tabloid. Bitcoin then hit $5,000, and then the next number was 10,000. And everybody was convinced 10,000 is going to be the all-time high, and then we're going to go into a giant bear market. But then the FOMO, like you're talking about, set in, and instead of $10,000 being the all-time high, we actually ran all the way to 20 and added another, $150 billion in market capitalization because that FOMO set in. I think you're absolutely right. Frankly, I don't even think we saw even close to the kind of FOMO that we saw earlier on this year in the first phase of this bull market. I don't think we saw anything compared to what's coming because of the amount of fundamental adoption that's going on. I also think that we're going to be over $100,000 by the end of the year, but do you think that we're going to see something similar happen where everybody's talking about $100,000, but then it comes and then wait a second, that actually wasn't as hard as we thought, and we'd go to 200 or 300. What do you think about that?
At some point we have to worry about diminishing returns because the market cap is so big. So I think at some point it's going to slow down. And I think after we hit, let's say 200, 250,000, we start slowing down. And I think people already know this. That's why if you look at like the logarithmic growth curve or whatever, it kind of tapers out, right? So at some point, FOMO will still continue, but you're not going to see it jump up nearly as much because of that. But right now, being where it is, even at like a trillion in market cap, which we know it's not very hard to move, especially with leverage. So I think there's still plenty of money. I mean, there's more than enough money globally, and even in gold. Even if you took like 10% of gold holders and they sell and they put in Bitcoin, that alone would be so much money coming in.
Gold's 11 trillion right now.
Yeah, so I think there's still plenty of money to push Bitcoin above 100 to 200 and so forth. But after that, I think it's going to start tapering out a little bit. But can I hit $1 million, let's say in 20 years? I certainly think so.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that I think you're completely right with the diminishing returns thing, and I actually want to ask you another follow-up question on that. There is a big argument that people are making that right now Bitcoin is, unusable as a daily driver currency, and they say down in El Salvador nobody wants to spend their Bitcoin because they're worried, like, okay, I'm going to spend $10 now, and then in 2 years I just spent $50 for a expensive gallon of milk or something. So what would you say about those diminishing returns hopefully leading to stability in the market? Is that something that you see happening as we get up towards maybe $5-10 trillion in market cap? Are we going to see the Bitcoin market stabilize so much that people are more willing to use it as a daily currency?
See, I have a different perspective with this. I know that a lot of people do want to see Bitcoin be used as a day-to-day currency. I don't want that to happen. It's just like, does anyone use gold as a day-to-day, commodity? No. I mean, it's something that you buy and hold, and the value comes from that holding. So Bitcoin, I think, is the same as gold. It's digital gold. It's better pharmaceutical gold, as Michael Saylor likes to call it. And I know we have Lightning Network, and we have, like, in El Salvador, we have a Shivo app, and it's meant to get people to use it. But I just think it's the wrong crypto. I think the CBDCs that's coming out, that's going to be widely used. Stable coins, that's widely used. And there's other crypto that's meant to be a payment service. Those are just better suited. They're much faster, much less fees. And I think those should be used as, day-to-day currency to be used for, let's say, coffee at Starbucks or wherever. And Bitcoin just be held as a value store, as a hedge against inflation, and as a store of value.
Yeah, no, that's something that Safadin almost actually talks about in the Bitcoin Standard, which anyone who hasn't read the Bitcoin Standard, you absolutely need to. One of the best books ever written on blockchain and Bitcoin. He actually believes that Bitcoin isn't going to be used as a daily driving currency and a day-to-day currency, but because of what you just said, it's built to be a store of value. Its fees are way too high. Its block time is too long. It takes too long to have final settlement. Lightning Network is probably not going to end up working, is what his opinion would be on that. In that case, what do you think we're going to end up using? Do you think it's going to be mostly CBDCs? Because people argue and say, CBDCs are great, but, the C in CBDC stands for central bank. Shouldn't we be wanting to use something decentralized? Is there another altcoin that you think would take over the space? Because I think, and tell me if we disagree, I think we would both agree that some form of cryptocurrency is going to be the future of payments. Where do you think that might go?
I think payments will stick with CBDCs. As much as we like to have, I don't know, I'm just going to throw this out there. Nano, for example. Nano is a pure payment play. As much as we want something like, say, Nano to take over the digital dollar, that's not going to happen, in my opinion. The dollar will always exist. But that doesn't mean that crypto is not going to exist, because the dollar is still the dollar. Fed Chairman Powell or whoever replaces him will always apply monetary policy and always inflate it, right? And with the digital dollars, arguably probably easier for them to do so. But I see crypto for payments. What is going to happen is, I think it's going to come down to the DAPPS, right? The wallets, the things that people use. And that's where crypto projects will really shine, I believe. We're already seeing that with the number of wallets out there.
Oh, yeah.
And what you can do with the wallets now with the integrated DApp store and all this stuff. I think that's what it's going to come down to, where all these projects that we have right now are going to come out with really fancy digital wallets and dApps. And they're going to have multiple crypto in there that you can obviously store and use. And CBDCs are going to be among them. And then most people will just use their CBDCs to pay for things. But I think the wallets could make it very easy for people to swap between digital currencies, so that if you did need to use, let's say, CBDC, a digital US dollar, to pay for something, you could swap between your Bitcoin and Ethereum and others, and just make it, it's going to make it really simple for people to do. I think that's the more likely outcome. I don't see any crypto replacing, let's say, the digital dollar once it comes out. I just don't see that.
It would be pretty hard to happen. I think that the fact of the matter is, CBDCs have a bright future as far as their adoption. I am concerned about them kind of undermining what the point of crypto is. But if we're specifically looking at this from what's most likely, it is going to be very hard for a cryptocurrency to become a national currency, simply because of its decentralized nature. I want that to happen, but it is definitely going to be difficult. And what's most likely, you definitely might be right on that.